Hello, denizens of the internet. The TV industry is in trouble. The movie industry is in trouble. The theater biz is in trouble. There is retrenchment, firings. There are fewer movies hitting the theaters, and the offerings have been underwhelming. But most importantly, where are the comedies? Where are the sitcoms? If you have been a frequent visitor to this channel, then you'll know that comedy is my main passion. Apart from performing as a comedian for a couple of decades on stage, radio, and TV, I was lucky enough to be around when there actually was a comedy business. And here is my primary point. Nothing happens in a vacuum except for space. And that guy who barges into your home, throws a handful of dirt on your carpeting, and tries to sell you a Dirt Sucker 2000. I don't care how old you are. I think we've all got images implanted in our brains of the silent movie era of the Keystone Cops. Harold Lloyd hanging from the arm of a clock, Charlie Chaplin. You would have heard of I Love Lucy even if you had never seen it. The Honeymooners, Dick Van Dyke Show. Perhaps you've seen the Pink Panther on insulation, but did you know it was the name of a series of hilarious movies starring Peter Sellers? Vague recollections of the works of Woody Allen, Mel Brooks, Neil Simons, the Marx Brothers. You might not even have seen any of their efforts, but in the back of your mind, you know there was this swirling cloud of comedy out there. Are you feeling that comedy omnipresence now? I don't. It really saddens me. Remember when I said earlier that nothing happens in a vacuum? Well, we're in a comedy vacuum because most everything is sucking. When I first got interested in comedy, there were hundreds of comedy albums by the likes of Shelley Berman, Bob Newhart, Monty Python, The Goon Shows, Joan Rivers, Red Fox, Bill Cosby, Nichols and May, and on and on. That's all been replaced by lifeless Netflix specials, which frankly are not as charming. Most of those albums were performed in front of small audiences in small clubs like at the Hungry i. They were intimate. You could hear the cigarette smoke. They were all about well-crafted words, but that's a topic for another video. There was comedy in print, Mad Magazine, Spy, National Lampoon. Not only were they a source of laughter, but they were real businesses one could aspire to work for. There were at least 100 sketch comedy troupes in Toronto when the Frantics were performing. That didn't even include Second City when it was at the top of its game. Most every stand-up we knew back in the 70s and 80s wanted to have a sitcom, like Gabe Kaplan in Welcome Back, Kotter. That was back in 1975. Seinfeld and Everyone Loves Raymond, remember those? Stand-up careers would be launched by an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, Johnny Carson, or Letterman. What comedy star has Fallon launched? In between these sitcoms, you might not be aware that there were hundreds of pilots of failed sitcoms. Let's not forget that writing failed sitcom scripts and shooting failed pilots was a huge part of the industry. You could almost have called it a job. No one talks about that. People were paid to write hundreds of scripts. It cost money to shoot pilots that never saw the light of day. We talked about the failed pilots as much as we did about the shows that made it to air. Sitcoms have almost completely dried up on the networks. Perhaps it's because the format is creaky and old and has maybe gone the way of the Western. I'm willing to entertain that. Could you do a Married with Children today? The Office is still funny, and so is Seinfeld. Community doesn't feel dated. The Big Bang Theory is a hoary old hooker. Season 4 and on of the Mary Tyler Moore Show were really strained, actually. Keeping up with appearances still kills me. No, I don't think the sitcom format is dead at all. We just need to restart the pilot industry. Let's talk about movie comedies. They were the staple of the movie business. And I'm not talking about the full-out comedies like A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum or It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. I'm talking about the genteel comedies like Bringing Up Baby, starring Cary Grant, Arsenic and Old Lace, starring Cary Grant, and Father Goose, starring Cary Grant. Okay, anything with Cary Grant in it, damn it. Humphrey Bogart even did comedies. They were fun, family fare, much like Disney's Parent Trap was. Yeah, Disney actually made good movies. Can you believe it? Yeah. A modern day equivalent of that old style of wonderful comedy would be Ivan Reitman's 1993 Dave, starring Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. One of my favorite comedies and hugely underrated. The Dumb and Dumbers, The End of the Worlds and Zoolanders, A Talladega Nights, sure, we absolutely need more of those. But we also need literate adult comedies like Some Like It Hot, The Apartment, Harold and Maude, The Goodbye Girl, Death at a Funeral, Music and Lyrics, The Wedding Singer, When Harry Met Sally, Broadcast News. Is there even an audience for them anymore? Look, I fully understand that since foreign markets have become huge, that English comedies don't travel as well as men and women in tights shooting lasers out their arses. That's why they have to be made cheaply. Superhero movies became smirking comedies somehow, and I think that had a detrimental effect. Great comedy also needs smart audiences. That's all I'll say about that. But come on, we are still quoting This Is Spinal Tap, The Holy Grail, The Princess Bride, Blazing Saddles, Tropic Thunder, Austin Powers, Airplane, Naked Gun, Ghostbusters, Animal House, Ace Ventura, Beverly Hills Cop, Big, The Big Lebowski, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Caddyshack, City Slickers, Dr. Strangelove, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Galaxy Quest, Hot Fuzz, The Jerk, Legally Blonde, Raising Arizona, Napoleon Dynamite, Nat Lamp, Christmas Vacation, A Night at the Opera, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Up in Smoke, Wayne's World, and the staggering legacy of smart and dumb British comedies from the Ealing Studios. Oh, I mean, they're legendary. And you'll suggest in the comments 1,000 other titles I neglected to include. My point of listing these was to show just how important comedies are in our lives. Didn't some of them give you joy tingles? But comedies are never taken seriously. The entertainment industry needs saving, and I think the only way to do it is through comedy. More comedy on TV, however they may be formatted. More comedies in the theaters, and I would reduce the ticket prices for modestly budgeted movies. I would assemble the comedy Avengers of our favorite still living comedy talent. Give them wads of cash and get 100 projects going. Have a year of the comedy in theaters. Light the match to get people used to going to movies again. If I was NBC, I'd resurrect Must See Thursday and rerun Cheers, Seinfeld, Friends, Frasier. CBS could do an evening of All in the Family, MASH, Mary Tyler Moore. ABC could do Wonder Years, Home Improvement, Soap, Bewitched. I would kill most of the studio streaming services and put those shows on your networks. Stop competing with yourselves and wasting resources, you morons. You want to save the entertainment industry? Start with comedy. End the vacuum. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.